I'm going to make a bold statement. You don't even know God. You haven't even begun to know God unless you have the fear of the Lord. Okay, you just finished chapter 29. Wow, do I love this section. Matter of fact, this section and the next section are my two favorite sections in the book. I'm so glad you're there. Let's talk about intimacy. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The knowledge of what? Is it scientific knowledge? No. Is it knowledge of the Bible? No, the Pharisees knew the first 5 books of the Bible from memory, but they didn't recognize the Son of God who was standing right in front of them. No, it's the knowledge of God, chapter 2, verse 5 says of Proverbs. So let me say it like this. The fear of the Lord is the beginning. It's the starting place of knowing God intimately. I'm going to make a bold statement. You don't even know God. You haven't even begun to know God unless you have the fear of the Lord in your heart. This is how important it is. This is why I believe Jesus delighted in the fear of the Lord. Now, it is the beginning or starting place of intimacy. Moses made this statement in Exodus 33, verses 12 and 13. He said, "You have told me." Now he's speaking to God when he says this. "You have told me, I know you by name." The word know is the Hebrew word yada, which means to know someone intimately. It's actually used in Genesis chapter 4, verse 1, where it says, "And Adam knew his wife Eve, and she conceived." So the most intimate that two human beings can be on earth, the word yada is used. And so Moses said, "God, you know me deeply. You know my thoughts. You know my motives. You know my heart. I know you by name." And not only does God know him, but he knows him by name. In other words, you're not a number to God. He knows you by name. Isn't that amazing? He said, "And I look favorably on you." This is Moses praying to God. "If it is true that you look favorably on me," Moses said, "let me know," so he uses the word yada again, "your ways, so I may understand you more fully and continue to enjoy your favor." So in order to enjoy God's favor, in order to know him more fully, we have to what? Search his heart out the way he has searched our heart out. You say, God has searched my heart out? Yes. David says in Psalm 139, "God, the number of thoughts that you have about me outnumber every grain of sand that's on this planet." Now, God can't exaggerate. So when David wrote that, he wasn't kidding. God has had so many thoughts. If I look at the thoughts I've had about Lisa, the last 40 years of marriage, if I added them all up, I might get a shoebox full of sand. And that's actually pretty good because that's thinking about her, I think, once every 8 or 12 seconds. I figured it out one day. God says, the thoughts I've had about you outnumber every grain of sand. Now, let's stop and think about this. What have I enjoyed doing? I've enjoyed getting to know Lisa better in our marriage. My thoughts about her, how much she loves coffee with these nut milks and how much she loves to have her feet rubbed. I know how much Lisa loves a very good romantic movie. I know things that she doesn't like. She can't stand jazz, okay? And I've learned this stuff all through our 40 years. And to be honest with you, I've enjoyed it. And I've pondered. I've thought, what would she like if I did this? Would she like it if I... And I'm thinking, what does please her? And so I've searched out her heart, and that's why we're closer after 40 years of marriage. Well, this is what God's done with you and I. He has searched our heart out because he wants to know us intimately. So Moses says, God, I want you to reveal yourself to me because I'm going to search you out. See, this is the privilege we get as believers. We can be as close to God as we want to be, or we can be as distant from God as we want to be. He is the most wonderful, wonderful being in the entire universe. I've never been around anyone that I like more. He is absolutely magnificent. Sometimes we don't understand why he does things and we get angry. That's not smart because he's perfect, perfect love. That means that what he's doing, you don't understand, or you don't understand the enemy you're fighting. Because there's a lot of times people have gotten angry at God and it wasn't God's involvement at all. It was the enemy. We have to remember God put us on this earth and he gave us authority on this earth. And so he's waiting often for us to take authority over situations in the name of Jesus, but we don't. We tolerate it, and then we put the blame on God when maybe it wasn't God at all. It was the powers of darkness. You have to understand, God's like a radio station, and he's constantly sending the signal out. And if my radio's not working, I don't call the station and say, hey, you need to start broadcasting. I need to say, hey, what's wrong with my radio? I need to fix it. If we don't understand what God is doing, that doesn't mean that he doesn't care for us. It just means that we need to seek a little bit more. So Moses was saying, I want to know you deeply and intimately. And the only way I can is if you show me your ways. So just like I sought Lisa's ways out these last 40 years, you seek his ways out. And let me tell you, this is where you will find fullness of life.